All right, it's 8 p.m., so let's start. Most communication problems at work are actually not about communication at all. Hi, my name is Ritvik Raje, and in this weekly live streaming, I will try to decode how personal branding, how your experience of others is affected in real life via how you brand yourself. Welcome to Personal Branding IRL in real life. Many working professionals struggle with this specific problem. I can't say no. I have faced it. You have faced it. There are a lot of situations where you just can't say no. Your job is at jeopardy. But there are also a lot of situations where that deep seated fear is actually absolutely something different other than just the ability of not being able to say no. Saying yes feels safer. Saying yes feels like you are cooperating. Saying yes means that you will be able to do more, that you can take up more work. But unfortunately, all this ability of saying yes to everything is creating a disbalance for you at your workplace. People have started to take your time as invaluable. People have started to give you tasks that was not even in your domain at the first place. And now what is happening? You are drowning in work. You don't know what to prioritize, and everybody just keeps asking you for updates. And that's a classic pattern that we notice after doing this exact thing, which is saying no to everybody, yeah, right? But there are other patterns which are also developing, which are more deep seated, and they are more personality forming than just getting overburdened by work. One is you are putting your body through a lot, so burnouts will be faster. Second, there is a fear of uncooperativeness will lead to me losing my job. And third is a deep seated fear of being disliked. It's interesting and kind of funny how our fear of being disliked leaves us absolutely burned out at the end of the work week. Why do we leave jobs? There are multiple reasons, right? It could be that it could be that your manager is toxic, but also it could be that probably your personal branding efforts failed at the workplace. Now let's take a very clear example on this. I went through something similar. I was unable to say no. I took this job in Hyderabad, which helped me grow very fast. I rose up ranks within 3 to 4 months, where I was leading an entire business in global markets. Now, while this was my official job title, I was also helping with India B2B. I was also helping creators create their creative strategy. I was also doing a lot of on ground sales work for B2B expansion in foreign markets. I was also helping the CEO with a lot and lot of pitch decks, presentation decks, and then going on to even present those decks in pitch presentation competition in front of investors. On a side note, I won a couple of those. But what happened at the end of the day was I crashed out. After this happened in the September of 2024. Sorry, 2022. Yeah, this happened in the September of 2022, and I was done for by the end of October 2023. I was awarded the best. I was awarded the best team member of the month. I was awarded. My team was awarded the best team of the month, and then at the end of the month, I was awarded at the best sick person because I was sick for almost a month. The burnt out almost killed me. So, what happens when you keep saying yes to everything? You end up taking up work more than what you can actually do. And you think you are talented, you know enough, you can do better, you can cover more ground. As startups say, you can take on more hats. And at times, it's fun, it's interesting. But most of the times, you have to realize that maybe it's going overboard because most of the bodies were actually not at all trained to handle something like this. Okay, so we have talked about what not being able to say no does to you, right? How it affects you. How does saying yes to everything affect you? But then, how is it hurting your personal brand? What is your personal brand in real life? Is your personal brand to say yes to everything? Is your personal brand Does your personal brand not value your own time? Or is your personal brand about being a generalist and staying burnt out for the rest of your life? So, what happens in all of this is you lose value as an employee, your time loses value, and then ultimately your reliability turns into just mere availability, right? So, then it's affected your personal brand now. But what do you do now? You have to say no to something, right? So, how do you say no in a work environment when your manager is putting on this immense pressure on you to perform well? Or maybe you have been performing well. So, how do you go about it? Hi, fancy Nancy. Nancy. Oh, I see the wordplay. Hi, glad you could make it. Yeah, you're the first one, but I'm gonna deliver it any which way, right? So yeah, so basically, I was talking about how saying no, and if you are listening to me, how saying no can actually hamper your personal branding in work life, and in front of your fellow team members, in front of your manager, in front of your even top management. Your the value of your time becomes less, the value of your energy becomes less. All you become is a dumping ground for a lot of people because you are saying yes to everything, every single thing. But then what happens is your personal branding takes a hit. You start losing your value. You stop upgrading yourself. In every discussion, while you are the hardest worker, you're not somebody who might be trusted or given the chance to go upwards in the ladder because it's just a dumping ground, right? So a dumping ground, even though it's holding some really amazing, but you also have a voice, something as simple as that. You obviously can't say no to the face of your manager or your top management when they are putting something on you, right? If they are giving you a new project, if they are giving you the responsibility of a new launch, of a new product, of a new any project, right? You can't just blatantly say no to them. What you have to do is you have to take a breath. A very simple activity. Just take a breath, couple of seconds, right? Nobody is running away. Nobody is asking you to give the answer at this very moment. All that they are asking you to do is give an answer, right? So now what you have to do is take a deep breath and then formulate what your answer should be. Now calculate, and this all of this has to be very fast, right? Because you have to realize, either you calculate how much energy you're giving to all of your projects, and if you have any energy left to give to the new one, either you do that calculation or you tell them, can I come back to you at a later time, because I'm not sure how much I have on my plate right now. So I have to recalculate, recalibrate all of the professional corporate words that you can throw in it, right? And then come back with an actual answer where you can tell them. And this has to be done with a little bit of confidence, with a little bit of grace. And that grace will only come if you take a calming breath. You don't have to be loud, it has to be more about clarity. If you're on top of what you're doing, you already know what your projects are and how much time they are taking. If you're not aware of it, you should do that. You should make sure that you realize how much time you're spending on each project, on each task, so that when something new is thrown at you, you are ready to take it or leave it with proper reasoning. The one thing, and this is a hack, the one thing that top management or any manager hates is proper reasoning. If you just tell them, I did it, why did you do it? There had to be a certain reasoning to it, right? And if you justify it well enough, then yes, you might not have such a bad moment as you thought you would if you had said no. So, obviously, there is a way to say no, and most of it starts from the point that you have to be calm within yourself and have that calm authority about you, which comes from having an authority about your work, right? It's about creating boundaries, right? It's about helping people see that you are not a slave, basically, that there has to be certain boundaries to what you can work with, how much you can work with, and what you can do, basically, at the end of the day. And you had joined the job, the role, the company for a certain reason as well. So you have to remember that too, right? All of this gives you that inner calm, that inner strength, which helps you build that authority so that you don't, cower down, bow down in front of anybody, right? So the whole process of saying no is not that of a defiance, it's not rebellion. The center of it is just calm authority and nothing else. And if you learn that, if you shift your mind towards that, then it becomes an easy task. And this is something that I deployed in my life a lot. I did not say a blatant no. I told them what I was doing, what I was here to do, what I wanted to do. And then if all of those criteria met, then I took the project later on. Obviously, there's a time in everybody's life where they are super ambitious and they think that they can do everything. But yeah. So while I did succeed at that company and I was on my way, etc., uh, it did leave me with a lot of burnout. I was not able to I don't remember having fun at all during that period of time. But any which way. So, yeah, so these are some practical behaviors that you can do, which is one, pause before giving an answer, right? You don't have to say yes or no right at this moment. You can take a breath, you can take a pause, even you can take a day, right? There is hardly anything as urgent, and especially when a new project is being discussed, you don't have to say a yes or a no immediately, right? Next, obviously, right? So buy time as much as possible. And the third is say no without over explaining. Now, there are times where you have to say no without over explaining. These are moments when you will be given work that you absolutely can't take. Maybe it is something that you have never done. Maybe it is something that um, maybe it is something that is not your domain. Maybe it is something that just don't know anything about. uh, Maybe it is something that is thrust upon you because somebody else left, right? And maybe it is a different manager who has a hierarchy problem and is giving you the work that their team is supposed to do, right? So there are moments where you have to say a defiant no, and there are moments where you don't need to over explain at all. But these are rare moments. Most of the moments you can just take a breath, take a pause, and see where it goes from there, right? So, yeah, so this was the observation for this week. A lot of people have this issue with not being able to say no, especially at a workplace. And it's important and imperative that you be assertive without having that fear that you are disrespecting somebody, or you will be disliked, or you will be marked as uncooperative. Because, my friends, I have seen a lot of people who have not done as much as I have done and yet earn more, rise faster, etc., etc. And I'm sure you have as well. So, with that, this week's observation is over. This week's lesson on personal branding, IRL, in real life, is over. I will see you next week. Next week, we will be talking about the whole hullabaloo around grammar and vocabulary. I think a lot of people think that their vocabulary has to be, much better. Their English has to be much better. Their tense is imperfect, and they feel underconfident about it. Well, come on the live stream next week, and I will break those myths for you. I'll see you next time. Good night, and have a great weekend. Bye.